Hey, good Sunday morning, December the 8th, 2024. I just finished a series of videos on Willie Keeler, Baseball Hall of Fame. 341 career batting average, 2,932 hits. He fell short of 3,000 hits, 78 hits short. He retired at age 38. He played from 1892 to 1910. This video, a recap of his career. To me, he's an underrated baseball player in history. He's not talked about that much. He was brought up during the Pete Rose hitting streak. Remember, Pete Rose hit 44 games in a row? Why? Why was he brought up? Because he had hit in 44 straight games in 1897. And he held that record for the best hitting streak until Joe DiMaggio broke it with his 56 game hitting streak. He held it for about 40 years, 44 years. He had the record of 44 consecutive games getting a hit. Then Pete Rose tied him, but then was stopped at 44. So Pete Rose, Willie Keeler, 44 game hitting streak is the highest in history, beside Joe DiMaggio's 56 game hitting streak. How about that? So as I went over Willie Keeler's career, I was impressed with this guy. He was a unique talent. He was not a slugger. He was not an RBI guy. And he wasn't an extra base guy. Mainly, he was a guy that had the famous quote in baseball history. You know what it is? Hit it where they ain't. Hitting it where they ain't. And he did that for his career. This video is a recap. He played 2,123 games. So that's a good measure, 2,000 games. He had 8,591 at-bats. Got 1,719 runs scored. That's a very good ratio. 2,100 games, 1,700 runs scored. Almost a run scored per game played. He had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He had 8 seasons, 100 or more runs scored. 2 of those seasons was over 160 runs scored in the season. His high was 165. He also had 153, he had 145, and he had 140. This guy scored runs. He was on base. As I mentioned, 2,932 hits, 78 hits shy of 3,000. Should have kept playing, Willie. Should have gone for the 3,000 magic number. I guess back in 1910, it wasn't that important, 3,000 hits. Nowadays, he would have played. Here's an impressive stat that I didn't know about with Willie Keeler. He had 8 consecutive seasons, 200 or more hits. Only one other guy was better. Ichiro Suzuki had 10 seasons in a row, 200 hits. 1894, he started the string. He got 219. Then he went 213, 210, 239 in 1897. That was his high, 239. And that was only in 129 games. If he had played 154 games, he possibly could have had 275 hits if he had played the full season. That's how hot he was in 1897. Then he got 216, 216 again, 204, and 202. Very good stretch. 8 consecutive seasons, 200 hits or more. Doubles, 241. Not that many, considering he played 2,000 games. A lot of guys get around 500, 600 doubles for their career if they played 19 to 20 years. 241. 145 triples. For his career, he only hit 33 home runs. Well, he was only 5'4", 140 pounds in his rookie season. 5'4". So 33 homers, 810 RBI. Not a home run guy, not an RBI guy. 495 stolen bases. So that's a pretty good number. He had a high of, his high was 67 stolen bases in a season. That's pretty good. 524 walks, so he's not taking the walk. Listen to this stat. I love this stat. 136 strikeouts. That's all. In 8,591 at-bats. He was a contact hitter. You could not strike out this guy. In fact, he averaged one strikeout for every 157 at-bats. How about that? 341 career batting average. And what I like, he had 15 seasons in a row over 300. And 6 seasons in a row over 370. That is a record that he shares with Rogers Hornsby. Rogers Hornsby and Willie Keeler are the only guys in baseball history to have 6 seasons in a row batting over 370. Did you know that? Ty Cobb didn't do it. Honus Wagner, Ted Williams, Tony Gwynn, some of these guys, they didn't have 6 seasons in a row over 370. Among his best batting averages, he had a 424 in 1897. That was the 44-game hitting streak there. He had 2 seasons over 380. How about that? He had 386 and a 385. 2 batting titles. 388 on base. He should have been better. Should have been about 450 on base. His slugging, not slugger, 415 slugging career, and he had 3,562 total bases. So what do you think of Willie Keeler? I think he had an outstanding career, 19 years. 341 career batting average. This begs the question, where do we rank Willie Keeler among the greatest hitters of all time? Now, I'm not talking about the greatest players of all time. That is a separate category. Because to be the greatest player, you need to excel in all the categories of offensive categories, the stats. Willie Keeler excelled in 4 of them. 5 of them, I should say. Runs scored, 1,700. Very good. Career hits, 2,932. Very good. Fewer strikeouts, 136 for his career. Very good. 341 career batting average. Very good. And 8 200-hit seasons. He fell short in doubles, triples, homers, RBIs, total bases, on base, slugging, all that. So that's where the greatest players of all time, they excelled in those categories. But as far as hitting, Willie Keeler excelled. So where can we rank him? That's tough. As far as pure hitting, he did 2 things that Ty Cobb did not do. He had 8 consecutive 200-hit seasons. Cobb didn't do that. And he had 6 seasons in a row, 370 or better. Now, Cobb gets him at 12 batting titles and 23 seasons of batting over 300, and Cobb had 3 400 batting seasons. Keeler only had 1. So you got to rank Cobb number one, greatest hitter of all time. Then you got to put Rogers Hornsby's 358 career batting average, which is second to Cobb's 366. You got to put Hornsby number two because he had three 400 batting seasons. Could have had a fourth. Batted 397 one year. Also, Hornsby tied Willie Keeler with 6 consecutive seasons batting 370 or better. Then you got to put Ed Delante's 346 career batting average up there because he had 1,800 games and got 2,600 hits. That's an average of 1.41 hits per game. That beats Keeler. Keeler averaged 1.38 hits per game played. Delante had a better average of hits per game. He had a higher batting average, and he had the 400 batting seasons. So I'm going to rank Delante 3. Now you can look at Tris Speaker, George Sisler, and Ted Williams, 4, 5, and 6. Maybe interchange them. You've got to consider Speaker's 345 career batting average and 3,500 hits. You got to look at George Sisler's 340 career batting average. He had 2 400 batting seasons. You got to look at Ted Williams, 2,600 hits plus the 500 homers. And you got to look at his 344 batting average. And you've got to look at he had the 1 400 batting season. You also got to look at Tony Gwynn's 19 years in a row batting over 300 and 8 batting titles. He's got the 338 career batting average. Keeler beats him there, but I can't put Keeler above Gwynn because Gwynn got over the 3,000 hits. Keeler struck out less. Gwynn had about 400 strikeouts. Got to put Gwynn in there. Maybe you can put Keeler, maybe number 8, 9, or 10 right in there as far as rankings among the greatest hitters of all time. Because what he did was extraordinary. It really was. What do you think of that? Who else would you put in there as far as greatest hitters? Well, you've got Ruth at 342. You got Gehrig at 340 batting averages. Got Harry Heilman had a 342 batting average. You got Nap Lajoie's 338. You got Stan Musial's 331 career. He's got 3,600 hits. So as far as the top 10, I'm going to put Willie Keeler in the top 10. Oh, I forgot about Jesse Burkett. He had a 338 career batting average. He had 2 400 batting seasons also. Or did he have 1? I think he had 2. Burkett was a pretty good player too. So I'm going to stick with my top 5 there. Cobb, Hornsby, Delante, Speaker. I'll put Ted Williams number 5. Put Sisler 6. Gwynn 7. Maybe Gwynn over Sisler. I don't know. Sisler had the better batting average, 340 to Gwynn's 338. Sisler didn't get to 3,000 hits. Gwynn did. Maybe Gwynn after Williams. Sisler. Put Burkett and Keeler right in there. Keeler's in the top 10 as far as greatest hitters of all time. What do you think? I don't know where to put them, though. 7, 8, 9, or 10 right in there. Got some other guys. Ruth had a better batting average than Keeler. He had more home runs, RBIs. He struck out more. Ruth had more total bases. See, Ruth would be in the category of greatest players of all time. He's the greatest player of all time. Ruth. He got to put him number 1. Because you cross the board, his stats all the way across. Runs scored. Career hits, 2,800. Doubles, he had 500 of them. Homers, 700. RBIs, over 2,000. He's got 2,000 walks. He's got a 690 slugging. He's got like a close to 500 on base, and he had close to 6,000 total bases. See, that's where you put greatest player. But as far as hitting, Willie Keeler, Jesse Burkett, George Sisler, those guys, Tris Speaker, Tony Gwynn. Got Harry Heilman was a pretty good hitter. It's hard to rank all those guys. But my top five, I'll stick with it. Cobb, Hornsby, Delante, Speaker, and Williams. Why do you have Speaker above Williams? Because Speaker had the 3,500 hits, and he had the 345 career batting average, which beats Williams. Also, his hits per game play average was better. Williams was like about 1.19. Speaker was in like the 1.30. Better hits per game. I'm talking about hitting, not greatest players. Hitting. As far as greatest player category, yeah, I'd put Williams above Speaker because of the homers and RBIs. And I'd put Williams ahead of Hornsby because he had more homers and more RBIs than Hornsby. But as far as hitting, you got to put Hornsby ahead of Williams and Speaker and Delante. Why do I have Ed Delante in there? Because of his 1.41 hits per game play, the hitting category. As far as greatest player category, Delante's not in there, not in the top 10. You got 10 other guys better than him as far as hitting, because he didn't have as many homers and RBI. He had a good portion of RBIs. Anyway, that's a debate. We'll just continue on. It was fun going over Willie Keeler. I didn't realize this guy was such a good hitter. He's in my top 10 greatest hitters of all time. All right, here's a debate, or here's something I'm wrestling with. Who should I cover next? As far as looking at their career and then ranking them. I like to go with guys with higher averages right now. I'm not going to get into Aaron and Mays and Mantle and Fox and Greenberg and some of those guys. I'm not going to get into those guys yet because their averages weren't as high. I like these guys that have high career batting averages. That's what I've covered. So far, I've covered Babe Ruth, Ty Cobb, Rogers Hornsby, Joe Jackson, Ed Delante, Tris Speaker, Ted Williams, Stan Musial, Willie Keeler, and Jesse Burkett, and George Sisler. I've covered all these guys. Why? They're all up there in high batting averages. Who's next? Who should I look at? You got a guy named Billy Hamilton. He's got a 344 career batting average. 344. You know what? Let's do him next. It's only a 14-year career. I'll do him. Then I'm thinking of Nap Lajoie, and then I'm going to get to Joe DiMaggio and some of these other guys. But I like these high batting average guys, okay? So the next guy I'm covering, Billy Hamilton, old school, 1888, 1901. Thanks. Talk to you later. I'm out.